you tell me? 'Cause I wanna know the truth. Can you tell me? I'm on a journey to find peace within my life. It's time to let go so I can climb to new heights. Nothing can stop me, I know, gonna make it to the end. Love is on my side, and I'm sure I'm gonna win. I wanna know the truth. I wanna know the truth. I wanna know the truth. Can you tell me? Can you tell me? I wanna know the truth. I wanna know the truth. I want to know the truth. Can you tell me? It's been a long time that I've been searching for then one thing that makes my life complete. And I'm gonna hold on. I'm gonna be strong. 'Cause in my heart, truth I'll always see. I wanna know, I'm gonna know. The truth. Can you tell me? I wanna know. I wanna know the truth. I wanna know the truth. I wanna know the truth. Can you tell me? We are living in a world of so many illusions, so much confusions. I need a strong foundation, a pearl of truth that separates the dark from light, from day and night. Help me change and sacrifice the wrong
Check.
from the
How can I find the truth? Let me count the ways. I can focus on my ancestors to brighten up my day. I can listen to a sage or an elder's wise words. Try some deep meditation where the Most High is served. Because the truth is beautiful, like children playing in the park. Or inside of rhyme ciphers where genius is spark. Be the dark, the light, and all the time that's in between. And you can find mad truth inside a trance states and dream. Listen to that little voice, it be telling you for true. And with a bit of divination, show you what you gonna do. Whether it comes abstract or the stone hard fact. Cause if it comes from God, it be the truth, that's that. Yo, no need to question, just learn the lesson. And ain't no stretching cause it's truth we're manifesting. Like what? Like what? What? 1, 2, I wanna know
Can
the
you
truth.
tell me? Can you let me know? I need to know the truth. Can you tell me? I really want to know the truth. I wanna know. I gotta know. I need to know the truth. I wanna know. I gotta know. I need to know the truth. I'm on a journey. I'm on a journey.
It's out. We want to know the truth. We want to know the truth for sure. Un Nefer Amen, one of our great ancestors. His music is available on Spotify and Apple Music and wherever you buy online music, I'm sure. So welcome, and welcome back. All right, this is M. Tahuti Kamo from Philadelphia, part of the Comedic Legacy team. And I want to welcome you to this powerful webinar tonight about the most important season when it comes to us making changes in our lives. So if you are in the webinar room, or if you're on, thank you, Nadia, on if you're on one of our YouTube channels with Nadia there, or if you're on Instagram, just give us a shout out in the chat and let us know, is this the first time you're with us here on Comedic Legacy? Put a 1 in the chat. All right, peace and blessings. I see Tennis Tillman on our Facebook. And okay, Nadia is the first time. Win Terry's the first time. She's in the webinar room. Moshelle, first time in the webinar room. Mimi, Jacqueline Dukes, Angel, Chinny Chin, and One Love. Benji, El Uno, welcome, welcome. And Michelle is with us. Candace, oh, this is great. First timers, everybody give them a hand. Give them a shout out in the chat. Put your hands together. Katrina Lewis is with us, and Richard Rondon Smith for the first time. Beautiful. Priestess Yogini Nuradina. All right now. I think I saw you in the course also. Okay. Awesome. So I want to let you know, welcome Sandra, first timer. I want to let you know that the information that you're going to receive tonight, which I'm sure is going to be outstanding experience for you, that there's a lot more where that comes from. So you can actually go to our Soundwise platform. Let me put it up here for you. Get myself oriented. Wait a minute. Where's it at? You can go to our Soundwise platform. It's called My Soundwise. Now, there's 2 Soundwises, so don't get it confused. It's My Soundwise. And on My Soundwise, here we go. There you go. MySoundwise.com. You search for Comedic Legacy. Search for Comedic Legacy. And when you get there, let me show you what you're going to see. You got a free podcast right here, Comedic Legacy Podcast, creation of Un Nefer Amen, the foremost authority on the spirituality of Kemet. For 50 years, the author of the Meduna Tier series has dedicated his life to the resurrection of the spiritual way of life that empowered the ancient founders of civilization, and you can get access for free. As my good brother in Philadelphia would say, you get it for free 99. And you can see right here, you've got some podcasts on the solstice information. You've got a live that we did in Nicholas, Brooklyn. You've got information on how to transcend grief and loss. Boy, a lot of us are going through that, right? Coming out of COVID and all things that are happening in the world. The hidden dangers of grief. You've got a 2-part lecture series. What is that? Almost 3 hours worth of information on the myths and the realities of the chakras. A lot of people still believe there's 7 chakras. There's actually 14. So you've got almost 3 hours worth of material on that. Comedic meditation. What is a comedic meditation script? How to change your behavior and improve your performance. The tree of life, or the Paut Neteru. You've got an hour and a half conversation on that. Ma'at 11 laws. What are these 11 laws about? What is Ma'at? That's explained on these podcasts. How to cultivate your happiness. How important is that, right? The use of mantras. Mantras are called Heka or Hekau in Kemet. What is that all about? The 11 laws apply to health, healing, wealth, and your career and your success. So lots of information. And what we covered tonight will be posted in that area as well. So make sure you check it out and help us to spread the word on this great free information. All right, so we're about to bring to the Comedic Legacy stage the master teacher, Un Nefer Amen. If you're just meeting him for the first time, he has 50 years of experience in his personal experience, over 50 years in meditation and understanding ancient wisdom systems such as Taoist yoga, ancient pre-dynastic China, Qigong, meditation, homeopathic medicine, Chinese herbal medicine, holistic living. Such a rich resource. And he's been teaching for 50 years in the community, basically on a weekly basis, nonstop. And now we have him here on this digital platform. So I'm going to bring him to the stage in just a moment. But before I do that, I want to let you know about our course, our meditation course. How many of you are in our winter solstice meditation course that's going on right now? Okay, just put in the chat. Let's see who's in the room here. We have over 300 people here in the webinar room, and we have people on Instagram and Facebook. Okay, all right. Is it good to you? Is it good to you? Is it powerful? We have a tremendous 90-day program dealing with Kemetic meditation and the solstice. And that's going on right now, and it's not too late. So before we end tonight, you're going to be able to hear all about that as well and be able to get involved and join the community. We have an online community. We have over 1,100 students in the course, maybe around 1,100. And, you can go in there and share your experiences, ask your questions. And it's just a powerful experience. So without further ado, let me bring to the stage of Kemetic Legacy, Un Nefer Amen. He is referred to by the African title of the for Shechem, the word power from our ancient Kemetic ancestors. Anet Charak, Shechem Ra Un Nefer Amen the first.
Ragadepu, all of you.
Welcome. Well, we are excited to hear from you tonight, and we got the word out earlier today that here we are on the precipice of what people believe is a new year, but they might be in for some surprises tonight if they have their plans for New Year's Eve and January 1st, and also the understanding of this tradition of a resolution and what that really is all about. So we're excited to give you the stage right now and help us to increase our understanding of the importance of this time of year.
Wonderful, wonderful. I want to thank, members of the audience for sharing this evening with us. I want to thank you for making this possible. And I want to let the audience know that I consider it my privilege to share, the information that I've learned and gathered about the solstices, and the different cycles of life, over the more than 50 years that I've been teaching spiritual culture cultivation. And I'd like to begin by exploring, there's a song. It's the most wonderful time of the year. I'm sure you've all heard the song. It's played so many times, on the radio and television during the winter. Well, during the Christmas time, it's the most wonderful time of the year. It starts to play before Christmas, during Christmas, after Christmas. And, there is a deep underlying truth to that message. It's the most wonderful time of the year. And, the truth is that, the period from December the 21st until March the 30th, which are the winter months, are indeed the most wonderful time of the year. You see, for the simple fact that, it is in these months that your psyche, your mind, your spirit, you see, subject to the laws of time, the biological, psychological clock within you. Everything is on a clock, biological clock, and the clock, that the rotation of the earth, the circulation of the earth around the sun, it's a rhythm that drive forces that make our mental and psychical and even biological structures is a function, is in harmony with each other to carry out, their functions. So the winter months, December the 21st, which is the beginning of the winter solstice. The winter months from December 31st to March the 20th, I think I said the 30th, March the 20th, correspond to the time where these faculties are revitalized, renewed. You see, so it is important for us to be aware of that, to take advantage of, the peaking of these faculties, to lay the foundation for the year. There's an understanding that our goals and our growth unfolds, cyclically over a period of a year, meaning that, at the winter solstice, December 21st to 24th, okay, we are at that point in our psychological and spiritual, cycle where we can renew and lay the foundation for our divinity, or to reawaken and revitalize our mental and psychical faculties. And then on the next 3 months from spring, on to summer, it's a time for us to revitalize a part of our psyche that governs our ability to achieve things, the creativity, the strategies, the tactics. Those faculties, begin to peak their functions, around the spring months. And then a month for us to, strengthen our command and power over our being and our environment is the period from the summer solstice on, that starts June 21st until September the 20th. And then from September 21st to the end of the year, December 20th, that's the period where we have the psychical ability to, to harvest, to strengthen our faculties of getting rid of what is, meaningless and corrupt and so forth, so that we don't take those mistakes back into, our, next year of undertaking. So, indeed, the winter months are the most wonderful times of the year because it is then that we lay the foundation for what the faculties of the other 9 months are going to accomplish. If you don't have a good foundation, your other efforts that you put forward will not go well. So I want you to understand that song is the most wonderful time of the year. It's leveraging an ancient truth that you have to understand on a deeper level. And this is what we're going to speak about in today's, class. You see that? Now, the question is, why haven't people in general understood that the winter months, you see that, and the winter solstice, are the most wonderful time of the year? We speak about the winter, we speak about the winter solstice as items that stand alone. There are, we take them out of the context. So I want you to bring to your attention, the word solstice, which is applied to a cyclical, event that occurs from December 21st to December 24th, the winter solstice. And then you see from June 21st to June 24th, meaning 180 degrees, apart away from the summer solstice, on the winter solstice, we have the summer solstice. You see, and then on 90 days from the winter solstice, we have the spring equinox. And 90 days from the summer solstice, we have the autumnal equinox. So you have these two equinoxes and these two solstices. So when you speak about the winter solstice or the summer solstice, you have to put it in the right context. They represent the beginning of certain seasons that nature, according to the biological and psychological clock within us, has appointed for the renewal and the revitalization of the faculties that we use to carry out things in this world. In this winter solstice, we lay the foundation of our being, our connection with God. We uplift, our identification with the spiritual faculties within us, with divine, concepts and divine functions. Then, on the basis of these qualities, the divine qualities, and our relationship with God, in the spring, those 3 months, we cultivate the ability to work at achieving our goals, based on the foundation, this divine foundation that we put in place during the winter months. You see that? In the summer months, from June the 21st to September the 20th, we have now the faculties that are in charge of our mastery over our being and the, physical environment. So those faculties, are strengthened during the summer solstice. And then now come the autumnal, equinox on September 21st, where the faculties that are in charge with us, our ability to let go of the useless and the corrupt, we let go of it those 3 months. You see that? Okay, so that, come the winter, we can start, on a new leg. So, you have to put these things together again. If you are thinking about the winter solstice as an entity, an event all by itself, not considering that it is part, of a 4-phase, process that nature has appointed for us. You see, then now you are missing, the essence of that message that the winter is the most important time of the year. You see that? So, of course, the song doesn't say all of these things because that's not the purpose of the songwriter. You see, but it's our job to bring, reason and knowledge and understand the deeper side of these, artistic creations and things of that nature. You see that? Now, we find, for example, that the renewal of these faculties are on the clock. The same way that all of other faculties, for example, our blood pressure is on the clock, blood circulation is on the clock, digestion is on the clock, sleeping is on the clock, meaning that there are times that nature has appointed, for us to carry out the functions, the various functions of living. You see that all of these things are better done at times appointed by nature, and and the fact that our psyche, our mind, are most receptive for making changes. You see, during the winter months, it's the fact of nature, chronobiology. You can look it up in the internet, and you will get a mother load of beautiful information to let you understand that cycles, governs all functions in the universe. Everything in this universe is on a clock. That's why there's a section in the Bible that speaks about there's nothing new under the sun. And I'd like to say, and there's nothing new also above the sun. Everything in the universe, functions on the periodicity of cycles. You see that? So we find now that the reason that this knowledge of the cyclical connection, and which would enable us to take advantage of the periods, and and the moments when the functional ability of these faculties peak, is because modern day man has divorced himself from antiquity, from the ancient wisdom, under the belief that what man has uncovered over the past 200-300 years, that we call science. We think that man's science is greater than divine science. You see that the world was the universe was created, you see, on the ground of scientific laws and processes. And you have to approach spirituality, as a science. And then you will begin to uncover the great, mysteries, that will make your life much, much, better. You see that? So we find that the ancient teachings have, instead of coming to us today in full, what we have gotten is a number of distorted bits and pieces about the ancient wisdom. That's why we sing about the most beautiful, the most wonderful time of the year, without elaborating on what makes it the most wonderful time. You see that? Okay, we find that around Christmas, which is really, associated with the winter solstice, which ends on December 25th. You see, there is an admonition to people to focus on thoughts of goodwill and peace in the world, and increasing joy in the world, and charity and things of that nature. You see, but it's all piecemeal. There's much, much more greater emphasis placed on gifting and celebrating and having fun than exploring the deep science. Okay? In other words, if my psyche and my spirit and my mind, if their functions, are optimized at the highest level of the ability to manifest events in my life and in the world, that's the best. Then the winter months, starting with the winter solstice, are the best months for me to cultivate, the virtue of peace, the virtue of charity, the virtue of humility and kindness. You see that, and because I first have to, accomplish these things within me before I can, project it on to the world. And God knows that today, especially today with so many technological advances, that is making, putting into the hands of a few so much destructive power. We need to learn that there are faculties within us that, once we cultivate the spiritual laws and the psychical virtues, that we will be able to psychically and spiritually, as mental acts, that we can impact our social environment from within our minds and our psyche and our spirit. So we have to go beyond just singing. It's a wonderful time of the year, most time of the year. We have to, learn how to meditate and go deep into the inner recesses, of our mind, our psyche. You see that, and create those virtues, those virtuous expressions and manifestation within us, so that when we visualize a world where, that is ruled by these virtues and these spiritual laws, you see, our psyche, empowered by our cultivation, can then now impress upon the world the changes that need to take place. And of course, people approach, the new year in the same way. You see that, the bits and pieces of information have come that the new year, which in the Western world is January the 1st, but in the ancient time, it is really, December 25th. And other cultures have their own other dates for the new year. But I'm just simply going by the Kemetic understanding of the winter solstice, you see, which is based that nature is telling us that December 25th is a new beginning, because it is the moment when our spirit, psyche, and body and mind is renewed. You see that when it is most receptive to the changes that we need to make in our conduct, our behavior, changes that we need to make in our productivity and things of that nature. You see, so the distorted information that has come down into the world today, people recognize that, yes, there's in the air this idea that this is a time to change, to somehow focus your mind on being a better person, making more money, being healthier, putting new habits in place and so on. But because we are living in a society that has not prioritized, attaining and teaching the knowledge, of how to impact your psyche and your mind, how to make changes in your mind and your psyche. People don't know, the correct way to do this. So come a few days from now, you're going to see people traveling from all over the world to Times Square in New York. Why? So that they can watch a ball come down, and they're going to write on a piece of paper, narratives about things that need to change, and then burn it or shred it, or stuff it into the doll and set the doll on fire. In ancient times, people will have rituals, group meditations, personal meditations. When you in a meditation, you take your consciousness into the deepest part of your psyche, your spirit, your mind. You see that, to connect with the parts of your being that governs your behavior, that governs, your social well-being, your physical well-being. And once you are able to transform your behavior in the image and likeness of peace, of divine wisdom and compassion, then when you envision that happening in the outer environment, the social environment, then you will bring changes into manifestation. So this is a time, yes, that you should learn to meditate, not write on a piece of paper and burn it or shred it or whatever. That's trivial. That's the modern trivialization, of beautiful, in-depth, ancient teachings. Stop and think about it. The ancient Egyptians, they built pyramids of Giza, of the pharaoh Khufu and his son, Khafra and Menkaure. If we translate the cost of one of these pyramids, it would be, like it would cost maybe like $1 billion in today's money. Then when you add in Khafra and so forth, his pyramid and Khufu's pyramid and Menkaure's pyramids, you find that these pyramids, and what do these pyramids do? That cost billions of dollars. They let us know, when the time of the winter solstice, is happening. The same thing, the summer solstice, the equinoxes. The purpose of these pyramids was, to let us know. You see that when the winter solstice, was taking place. Why? Because the most important thing that an individual and a nation can do is to take advantage of the period of time that renews and revitalizes the most important part of the being, which is their spirit, their psyche, and their mind. You see that today, what is most important to us is making money, not understanding that you make the best money that you can make without infringing upon anybody and physical law and divine law. You see that, when you approach your livelihood and your well-being, from the perspective of spiritual law, and the replenishment of your spiritual faculties. So please, learn how to meditate. You see, and you're not limited to December the 25th or the 4 days of the solstice or January 1st. You have the entire winter. You see, and if you can learn how to spend 21 consecutive days meditating according to a good meditation process, like Zazen meditation or the meditation that we teach in our course here. You see that? Okay, if you meditate, on how to change, your mind, your psyche, you see that, so that you can, connect with God, establish a connection with God, a union with God. And by the way, that's the meaning of the word religion. Religion means religare. Re means again, and ligare or legion means to tie. So the word religion means is Greek for to reunite. You see that? It's a very complex word, relegine, meaning to reestablish logic and law into your life. You see, and same thing with yogi. Yoga means to yoke, to unite. And Patanjali says yoga means to unite man's union or reunion with God. And the most prominent an important time for you to make the effort to reunite with God are the winter months, the months of the winter. You see that starting with the winter solstice, December the 21st, ending December 25th, but your meditations, your rituals should continue all the way on till March. You see that, the 20th, where you would then go on another set of meditations and rituals to strengthen the part of your being that is creative and strategizing and tactical, and the source of harmony and kindness and compassion, and empathy with others and so on. These behaviors do not flow from information. These behaviors flow from faculties. You see, that's the biggest mistake that Western man has made. The belief that, you see, if you get the information about virtue and spirituality, if now you know this law, if you know this virtue and make the effort to living, you will be able to live it. No, there are faculties that govern these expressions that you have to awaken, invigorate, and put to work along with, the purpose and function of your mind is just to give direction to the work that you want to do, but the work will be carried out by faculties within you. Let me give you an example here. You can read a book on nutrition, okay, that explains to you, how to arrange your life so that you can best assimilate and digest food, digest and assimilate. You see that? But your knowledge of how this is done will not help you to digest your food and assimilate it. You have to empower the faculties, the digestive organs that have the function of digesting and assimilating the food. So when you talk about being more peaceful and being wealthier, being kinder, you see that, okay? Just knowing the importance of kindness and talking about it will not make you more peaceful. There are faculties within you that will enable you to manifest the peace within you and outside of you. And in this course that we are giving you, you will learn, that the two most important faculties, which on the tree of life, the Kabbalistic tree of life, it is Kether and Tipra, the first and the sixth sphere. In the Kemetic tradition, it is the Neter Oser and the Neter Herum. Okay, and in the yogic tradition, it is the chakra Ajna and the chakra Herit. Many of you never heard of the Herit chakra. Okay, in the Yoruba tradition, it is the Orisha Obatala, and the Orisha Shango, and if you remove yourself from, the prejudices, and all of the things that set man, apart from man and woman, apart from woman, and approach it humility, the teachings of other people, you would find that everybody has a part of the puzzle or a different way of looking at the same thing. And this is what it makes the world a divine creation. You see that? So to bring things back together again here, okay, what makes the winter? The winter is the most wonderful time of the year, because that's where you lay the foundation for the work that's going to be done in the next 9 months. You see that? Okay? Meaning that the actual months, of making something happen, is spring to the end of the fall. You see that? But you must lay the foundation. In other words, if you want to do a good job, you just don't start working. You first, plan. You first, have an understanding of who is doing the work. Are you a human being or are you a divine being? Are you going to do this work for the 2024 as a human being with all of the flaws and the negativities of human people? Or are you going to do it as a divine being? Meaning, are you going to cultivate, your mind and your sight, with the powers from your spirit? You see that? The spirit is the part of your being that sends out messages of law and order to your mind and your psyche. You see that? Your psyche is the part of your being that carries out your desires, your plans, the things that you want to do. But it must be regulated by and put in order by the spirit via a mind that is reflecting spiritual laws. These are the things that you will begin to learn in this course if you have not yet already learned it. You see that? So that's part of the foundation. The second part of the foundation is that once you decide to live your life as a divine being, you're going to need internal, intuitive instructions on how to remake your life as a divine being. You see that? And that instruction, you see that, will come from you establishing a partnership with God. Okay, people go to God for guidance and for help or whatever, failing to understand that, when you go to God, asking and seeking help is because you want to learn, first and foremost, how to live your life as a divine being. If you keep living your life as a human being with all the wretchedness and negative things that people do, you see that you're not going to get God's help. So this course will teach you how to, begin to establish your union with God. You see that? Okay? And it is through that connection that you will get intuitive guidance as to, what should you focus on, in the next 9 months. You see that? Well, in the entire year, really, because blessings will begin to show themselves not in March, but as soon as you, begin the work in a sincere and humble manner. You see that? So a lot of us, we run into a blank wall because, you think that you know what's best for you, what you should want. Okay, fine. Exercise the freedom and the independence to think about what you want to do with your life. But why not invite God to be part of that mental process, that mental discussion? You engage professors and teachers and mentors. You read books and you try to get guidance from people, on, what you should do with your life and how to do it. Why not have a partner with God? Why not learn how to get information and guidance from God? What do you need to do to get that? Okay? And then how much power do you have? A lot of things that you want to accomplish, you don't have the power. You don't have the resources. You see that? Question here. Do you think that that you could get God's help and God assist you and make up for what you lack in power? And these are the foundation that you must lay into your mind, your psyche, and your body, and your spirit, during the winter months. You see that? And these are the things that the songwriter didn't know when he wrote the song, "It's the most wonderful time of the year. You see that? So the winter solstice, those 4 days, January 21st and 24th, is not the time for you to make all the changes that you need to make to lay the foundation, for a prosperous year. Okay, it's the beginning. It marks the end of the old year and the beginning of a new you. See that? I want you to emphasize that. See, you're talking about, a new year. No, let the year be the year. Focus on a new you. Okay? When you see people say, have a joyful new you. Okay? You can misuse the word happiness. You will learn my definition of happiness, but for the time being, tell people have a happy new you. Okay? Okay? And things of nature. Have a more prosperous and healthy new you. Get rid of the new year, the new you. You have to renew yourself. And that renewal process, the best time and that nature has appointed for the efforts and process to renew yourself, to become a new you, are the 3 months of the winter. Thank you, my beloved. Okay, I will now open myself up to your questions about today's webinar. Can't hear you.
There we go.
There you go.
All right, we have a lot of folks online. Shekim, I just want to open it up with, again, going over this very foreign concept. We're taught a lot to improve our lives, to focus on our mindset, to focus on changing the way we think. But you're saying here that changing our mindset is not enough, that the behaviors that we want to execute, the advancements that we want to make in our growth and the goals we want to achieve is carried out by faculties. So
that is correct.
Just once again, for people that are not familiar with that concept, I know you did give an example. You're referring to these different parts of our being as faculties. Can you just explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, in other words, it's best through examples, right? Mm-hmm. Let's take, for example, the word holism, right? Seeing things as a whole instead of bits and pieces, how they're looking at things and how they connect to each other, work with each other to achieve the goal of the whole, right? Mm-hmm. Like in Chinese medicine, where you're supposed to look at the person and not at the illness. You see that? So you have to mm-hmm. think holistically, not linearly piecemeal. But the thing is that if I give you a so-called holistic narrative for you to imitate, I don't care how well you know it, you're not going to think holistically. The faculty that governs holistic thinking and perception is the Ajna chakra. You see that in Kabbalah it is the spirit Kether, and Kemet it is Oser, Obatala in the Yoruba, and so on. So the whole thing is that the faculty of that chakra, all the chakras are faculties of the psyche and the mind and the spirit. They carry out the function. You see that? For you to be joyful, let's take it down, for you to experience joy and pleasure. You see that? It's just not finding something pleasurable and joyful. Okay, you have to have certain faculties in your brain, the substantia nigra, functioning on a high capacity level. You see that? Mm-hmm. Okay. So, and they have to generate certain, neurotransmitter. You see that? For you to experience pleasure and joy. So that if those faculties of substantia nigra are not transmitting, their chemicals, okay, you will not experience the energy called pleasure or joy. You see that? So if you, let's say, if the substantial needle was suddenly destroyed within your brain, you see that? You will not be able to experience pleasure in the things that you experienced pleasure before. You see that? So, it's like anger. You experience anger because it's a faculty that's pumping an excessive amount of noradrenaline into your system. You see that? Not because the thing is angering. If your noradrenaline, hormone, not hormone, your noradrenaline neurotransmitter is in balance, you will not experience anger. You see that in the same situation. You understand that?
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is that one of the ancient messages from antiquity is that, there are faculties in your spirit and in your mind and your sight that must be activated for you to experience the virtues and the emotions, and the different things that you are looking for in this world.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's why, when let's say you go to the yogic tradition, okay, they say chant Om. Om is the mantra Om, which is the Ajna chakra, is in almost every, meditation. Why? Because you see, it awakens the faculty that houses, the presence of divinity within you. It houses your consciousness. You see that? And it houses your holistic perception. You see that? But all that, if that faculty is not awakened, I don't care how many volumes you read on holistic medicine, you will not think holistically. That is why, for example, a nasty secret is a lot of people that are practicing Chinese medicine are not practicing it holistically. They are still thinking allopathically, using, TCM, herbs and acupuncture points. They're still thinking linearly. Why? Because you see, they have not been able to open up the Ajna chakra. That's not part of the curriculum. You see that?
And that ties into, we have Sin D on one of our YouTube channels. He says, so is he to understand that he needs to learn how to meditate? So you're saying that the way to activate these faculties is through meditation.
One of the ways is through meditations that involve, mantras or heka. Because the sound, the energy from sound, you see that, is what arouses and invigorates these psychical and spiritual faculties. You have to send them energy. Nothing in the universe happens without energy. So if you want, let's say, to be very focused, you see that, okay? In an extremely high capacity, you see that. Or let's back up. You want to focus, period, right? On the lowest level, your body has to be, the blood vessels going to your brain have to be dilated. So that nitric oxide supplement will do that. You see that? You eat the beets and it dilates the blood vessels to the brain. You get more blood and more energy. You focus better. You see that? Okay, you get, proteins with norepinephrine, okay, and so forth. So the noradrenaline will active, that neurotransmitter will go into the brain. Now you can focus. You see that? And if these nutrients are not enough for you to focus, then you have what's called ADD. So they got to use the medication to supply more energy to the brain. You see that? So that you can therefore focus. You got to energize and activate the faculties that carry out these functions. So it's not enough for you to chant, ring the Heru mantra if the brain itself, cannot produce enough norepinephrine and so on. You see that? So if you want to cultivate in your mind the virtue of being a focused, person, you have to activate the Herit chakra, the mantra Herim. And once that chakra is open and functioning, then you find yourself being more focused, being more able to control your mind. When we talk about, that's why lots of people, when they take a course, in what they call mindfulness, they get nowhere. They don't manifest significant mindfulness because the Herit chakra didn't get the energy. You see that? That's like a person, with ADD and say, you got to focus more. You cannot tell a person with ADD to focus more. You got to give something to them, a cup of coffee, some Starbucks, espresso, or whatever. If you pass by Starbucks in the morning, you see a lot of kids, with their, Starbucks coffee, sipping that coffee before they're going to school. You see that? The thing is that behavior requires the awakening of faculties. You see that, as well as information about the truth. You see that? And in the way of thinking, the energy was called the goddess or the deva or the devachan, and the information was called the god. You see that? Meaning, there are divine ideas and divine forces that must work together in order to, manifest. And the word Dea is a goddess and E is the god. So you put Dea together, it's a thought, E. You see that is being carried by an energy there. All these beautiful teachings are hidden. You see that in the ancient wisdom and in your language. You see, Deus, Theos,
right in the language we're using every day and don't even know it.
Hidden in plain sight.
If you're just joining us, we're talking to Shechem or Shechem, Un Nefer Amen. He's the author of the world-renowned book and series Medu Neter, volumes 1 through 7. The series that took the mystery off the mystery systems. So we have a lot of new people tonight, Shechem, and I just would like to back up for a minute if we could, because so many of us in thinking about this time of year, and a lot of us may only go to church this time of year or think about spirituality. And when you start talking about pyramids and the ancient Egyptians, a lot of our references, I mean, we might even be singing this weekend, let Pharaoh let my people go. We have this kind of idea that what the ancient Egyptians are the bad guys in the Bible, and we're into some kind of a primitive or paganistic practice. And a lot of us associate that also with things like chanting mantras and talking about faculties. So for those people that are brand new to this, can you just shed some light on that experience? And somebody did put in the chat, why is this ancient knowledge? Has it been, hidden or, corrupted or misrepresented?
Well, unfortunately, in a major part of the dark side, let's put it that way, right, of mankind, is that if there is something that gives power to people and keep people from being exploited, then some people that come into power through weaponry and so forth will make sure that the truth will be hidden, kept away from the general population so that they can be controlled and exploited. So this is one of the reasons why these beautiful truths, it's not only about spiritual things. The same thing is like in health. There are a lot of natural supplements and foods that will help your, the illnesses that are killing people. And most of the people, the doctors do not let them know. If you take, for example, garlic and beets and the beet leaves, there's scientific documentation that shows that if you eat the proper amount of those things along with fish oil or whatever, it will help to keep your blood pressure in a normal range. But most people go to the doctor and they're not told. You see that about this food that they should eat and things of that nature. So there are a lot of nutrients and whatever, a lot of good information about health, about spirituality that is hidden from the people because it keeps others in power and it keeps others in wealth.
And the pyramids, we've been told that these were the funerary monuments of megalomaniacs who wanted to be preserved in history.
First of all, There's not a single place in the Bible where it is documented that the Hebrews, were the workers building pyramids in Egypt. Nowhere. Look it up. You'll not find it. There's a lot of things about, antiquity that people believe is in the Bible that is said outside of the Bible. You see that? Okay. So the whole thing is that, first of all, no historian has been able to place the Hebrew people in Egypt. You see that in antiquity. Okay. And things of that nature, or who was the Pharaoh, okay, that enslaved the Hebrew people. Those are things that are, have been studied and been a source of consternation for historians for over a century, looking, for documentation of these statements. You see that? So the thing is that, when you want to understand Egyptians' religion, study their holy books, study the translation of the holy books, and so forth, and you will see that in no place, not a single one of these books, that people have been given directions to do something that is against, divine law and, and spiritual practices and truths. And that is what you need to do. You see that if you're going to go to try information about somebody from somebody else, that's not the way to do that. Go into the actual teachings of the people to see, what they are about.
And Janice Prince says, Kemet, what was the result? She's in the webinar room.
Okay, well, I guess the result of them.
Well, in this conversation, I think she's talking about the, what is the evidence that following the Kemetic tradition produces.
Well, when you study the history of Egypt, you find that Egypt gave the world, civilization, mathematics, science, writing, architecture, medicine, literature, all of the spirituality, all of the trappings of civilization was bequeathed to the world by ancient Egypt. The Greeks spent about 500 years studying in Egypt. They were under the tutelage of Egypt, and the Greco-Roman, Christian civilization, as well as the Arabic civilization, they all developed their sciences by studying with Egypt. You see that? So yeah, the result was that they gave civilization all the trappings of civilization to the world. And long before there were other people, the ancient Egyptians already, had a complex, highly developed scientific, spiritual, literary, history.
All right, and back to the subject of our observance of the winter solstice, Diane Finblay says she has two friends who would like to register for the solstice course. They're completely new to this knowledge. Have they missed the most important days, since they would be joining several days after the 21st of December?
I'm glad that, Diane asked this question. And the thing is that, people have been thrown off with the belief that the solstice the importance of the solstice is based on the 4 days of the solstice, December the 21st to the 24th. Those 4 days simply mark the beginning of the winter. The work to be done, you see that, is the work that you're going to do in the winter months from December the 21st up until March the 20th. So you have 3 months of meditations to do. You see that, and they are the obligatory schedule is 21 days, 4 meditations that are done over a period of 21 or 22 days. And then now when you take an assessment of your progress, you will want to extend it and things of nature. So no, it will only be too late if you come in after, February, let's say after March the 1st, then it will be too late. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
It's the power of the winter, not the winter solstice. The winter solstice simply marks the beginning of the phase of rejuvenation, rejuvenation, resetting your being, renewing your relationship with God, and so on. And you have an entire winter to do that.
Now, Shechem, you spoke about, and we've had some reaction to this, that the winter phase is when we review and renew and revitalize the divine self-identity. And you speak in the course about being able to communicate with God and to receive direct instruction from God. And a lot of us have been weary of people that claim that they can speak to God, because we've seen people on the corner with a bullhorn, or other people who claim that what they're saying and what they're doing is coming from the Creator, but their actions and mannerisms seem to be not confirming that. So how would we know? How would we be able to distinguish that we are indeed receiving divine guidance and not just our own thoughts or delusions?
Well, for every person that you just described that's out there, there are a lot of people in all different religions: Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, Hebrew, Israelites, and so forth, that will tell you that they prayed, for guidance, and help from God, and somehow they intuited the knowledge of what to do. You see that?
Mhm.
Now, unless you're following a precisely crafted course to do that, you will succeed, but hit and miss. So if you want to increase your ability to get guidance from God, you see, then there are specific things that you need to follow. And the foundation of this, our winter, course, it's not winter solstice, it's a winter course, is that you have to reconnect with God. And the most important way to do that is to give respect to God, meaning first and foremost, acknowledge God's presence in your life and in your world. I talk about actually is there. You see that people are, if you say, I got guidance from God, people will be skeptic because they cannot see God, they cannot hear God, they cannot touch God, they cannot smell God. So they think that you cannot communicate with God. You see that? But if you look at what is said by all religions, there is this notion that you can communicate with God and get guidance. You're not going to get an answer like an actual physical voice, but ideas, visions, words, narrative will come to you. You see that? Okay, that will explain to you what to do, why to do it. And you might even get a whole volume of information. You see that? That will help you to teach others and things of that nature. So of course, and yes, you do not use as your measuring stick people walking around saying, God told me. You'll find that the majority of people, who have received an answer from God do not boast about what God tells them. They just simply live the proper life and be a good example to others and so on. You see that? But people who are telling you to do something because God told them, yes, be skeptical and suspicious about people telling you to do this and do that because God spoke to them. You will never hear that from a bona fide, relationship with God.
Mm-hmm. And Janice, welcome. She is in the webinar room and she says, so opening the chakras is the secret to balance physically, mentally, and spiritually?
Just not opening the chakra, you have to also, create the union between your spiritual chakras with your mental chakras and your psychical chakras, you also have to observe divine law. You have to observe the virtues that are connected to the psychical chakras and things of that nature. And the thing is that there are 11, spiritual chakras. I mean, yes. Let's put it this way: from the Kemetic perspective, right? There are 11 chakras. We call them, Neteru. Okay, but from another perspective, there are 9 spiritual chakras and 5 psychical chakras, and so on. So, all of these chakras are connected to virtues or spiritual laws that must go hand in hand with arousing the chakras, through the use of meditation and mantras and certain breathing techniques. So I don't want the people to have the impression that they're just going to chant the mantra, arouse the chakra, and they're good to go. There's a whole lot much more work to be done than just that. And that's a common mistake that people do. They chant the mantra over and over for days, for years, or whatever, and they have not been taught, the laws and the virtues and the way of life connected to that mantra, and they don't know why they didn't get the expected results.
So on that note, Shekhan, because some people have noted that when you follow the method and learn the scripting process, the amount of time that we actually have to chant the mantra is not that long compared to, there's people that use the bead method or whatever, or there's the idea of chanting for hours and hours and hours. What are you saying? What are you saying is the key to activating the faculty? Is it the number of repetitions? Is it the intensity of the meditation experience, or something else?
Okay, first of all, the yogic instructions, right? The sadhanas is you have this the mala, the beads, right? And they say chant this mantra for 150,000 times. So you're chanting the mantra and you're counting off of the beads, for several months or a year or two, whatever, to get the results. And when you go into the instruction manuals for this process, you find that the divine law and the virtues that are associated with that mantra was not given. You see that? And that's why it will take you so long and you may not get there. You see, that's why we have a script. You see that? And that's why we have specific, instruction how to breathe. When you breathe the right way, you will enter into the meditation state in a few minutes. And once you have entered the meditation state a number of times, you can just go into that meditation state with one chant, chanting the mantra just once, which you have experienced and seen happen to other people. You see that? So I don't like talking about other people's practices, and so forth. But all I'm going to say is that, our method, we don't have you chanting for hours and hours and hours. What we do, we follow the psyche and the mind's ability to become programmed and conditioned. You see that? So that if you chant a mantra that awakens, let's say, the Anahata chakra, and then you meditate on images and the laws, of ethics and equanimity with others and, goodwill and so forth, as you pursue the achievement of your goals, you will get to the point where just chanting the mantra just once, will put you in that behavior mode and that energy flowing, the behavior flowing automatically. Because that's the way it works. When somebody convinces you that you will not activate this chant unless you chant it 10,000 times, well, you have just given instruction to your psyche and your mind not to accomplish the goal in less than 10,000 times.
True.
You got to understand the psyche, and the mind. And I find that, different traditions have different understanding of what to do and how to do it.
So just one more follow-up from Janice. She asked if the pineal gland has anything to do with this process.
The pineal gland has to do, but not in the way that the popular books about chakra, teach. You see that the pineal gland governs, controls, your wakefulness and your sleeping patterns. You see that, according to it's the impact that light makes upon it. You see that, okay? And your pineal gland is one of the faculties. You see that that is responsible for the psychobiological changes that take place when you change from fall to winter. You see that, because on the winter solstice for 4 days, the shortening of the day stop for 4 days. They stand still. That's the stitch and solstice, right? That's the sunlight, period of sunlight standing still, or solstice, right? And then now from this December 25th, the widening of the daylight period begins to take place. You see that? So then now the pineal gland begins to receive more light. You see that? And that gradual increase in light, you see that from its lowest level of functioning, its highest level of functioning, in the fall and early winter months, is part of your receptivity to holistic thinking and behavior and regeneration and so on. You see that? Okay. And but there's a lot of ideas that were introduced into spirituality by the theosophists, Annie Besant and Madame Blavatsky and all of these, the Rosicrucians, the Golden Dawn Rosicrucians and so forth, Aleister Crowley, and they brought a lot of pseudo information that tied the different organs of the pineal gland and the hypothalamus, whatever, which science didn't understand hardly at all in those days. But they claim that, this corresponds to the chakras or whatever. And in truth, these theosophists knew nothing about the chakras and knew nothing about the pineal gland on the pituitary, whatever. But they made these correlations, and these correlations are still, retarding the understanding of lots of people today.
So we have a testimony here from Richard Rondon Smith. He says he noticed a shift in my meditation intent. I went from overcoming negative emotions, this is a member of the course, about a thing, to focusing on being beyond the reach of emotions. Is this proof of the faculty activation? And if yes, which one?
Okay, this is wonderful. This young man just bought the course recently, right? And this is the power of our teaching here, is that people will follow this method, will experience, effects very quickly, sometime in a few hours or a few days, and some manifestation might take a year or more. But throughout, as with each day that passes, that you do the meditation properly, you're going to see changes in your life. You see that. Now, so what he says, I noticed a shift in my meditation intent. I went from overcoming negative emotions about a thing to focusing on being beyond the reach of emotions. So at this point here, as a new student, he's doing the Osera meditation. You see that? Okay. So if he went, which has the mantra Hum of Tehuta, the Guru chakra in there. So if his intention, of focusing on the negative was changed to focusing on the positive. You see that? That was the Guru chakra, the Tehuta faculty, making a correction on his meditation, objective. You see that? Because when we go through the script, we find that we never focus on the negative. I said, first, after you go into the meditation state with the chant, recall the negative, the violation, the negative thing, but don't dwell on it. Move right away to affirming the spiritual law. Focus on the spiritual law. Focus on the behavior, the joyful activity of observing the law. Focus, the joyful, activity of your accomplishing your goals, attaining your goals, and then give thanks to God. So there's no focus on the negative in the meditation script. So, if he did not fully understood that, and he began focusing on the negative emotion, and it flipped to focusing on the positive, positive emotion, that is the guru chakra. You see, flipping his, focus of attention. You see that? So that's wonderful. And this is how we learn.
So that's good news.
I would like for students who are new, okay, to when they come on, on our webinars, to give testimonies like this, because it is these testimonies that will help others, taking the course, know that, hey, this is real. There are quick results. And it goes, and you didn't have to chant with a mala for 1,000 or 10,000 times.
Repetitions, right?
Yeah.
Thank you, Rashad. And please post this in the comment section of the course so that everybody there can benefit. So this is good news, Shechem, for some who may have a little anxiety that they're not completely clear on filling out the script, or maybe they didn't identify everything exactly properly, that there's kind of a self-corrective mechanism that would kick in.
Absolutely.
So James, we answered your question, I believe, about the faculties, and the names of the chakras, Delane, are in the course. You can get the names of all the 14 chakras. That information is also given in the free webinars that I pointed out at the beginning of this conversation. And we also have a question about diet during this 90-day period. Does that matter in terms of our success in applying the teachings?
Well, I didn't want, in the past, right, we would get into diet, okay, but the thing is, unless you can really be available to give people one-on-one and personal guidance, okay, it's best to just simply limit, the statements to, eat as much as possible, a plant-based, diet. Number one, eat, very little sugar, sweets, and so on. Even if it's just juice, and fruits, don't binge on sugar. Same thing with salt. Avoid, food, as much as possible, gluten. Study gluten. Gluten will tear up your large intestine and make it, subject to, toxins, flowing into your bloodstream and so on. Stay away as much as possible, okay, from food with preservatives and colorings, and other additives that would be injurious to your person. Do your best to not overeat. Okay, if you're going to fast, make sure that you have a good knowledge of how to do so, and things of that nature. And because fasting the wrong way can be, can cause a lot of toxins in your system to be liberated, and that can be problematic for some people. So just eat a clean diet as best as possible, best to your knowledge of what a clean diet is. A lot of fruits, okay, citrus. You don't want to eat too much sweet fruits like, bananas in moderation, try to get a raw protein from unsalted raw nuts, and so on.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and Clifton Davis, he's in the webinar room. He says, please forgive my ignorance, but why do we not have actual Kemetic cacao?
Well, the thing is that the ancient Egyptians, they were very, very careful about committing to writing, to putting in writing the hekal. You see that? Okay? Because these are words of power. Okay? And so they did not commit them to writing. But we have one, which is Ankh, another one, Ja, okay? The Kring, okay? The Hum. These are all, Kemetic that are shared, with the Indus Kush, people who were the same Kemetic people. You see, the thing is that hundreds of thousands of Kemetic books were destroyed by the Greeks, by the Romans, by the Arabs when they invaded and took Egypt over. You see that the reason that we're able to recreate certain teachings from India and China is because their libraries were not destroyed. You see that? Okay, so we have to make correspondences between the Kemetic and the Indus Kush because they're the same people. There are two Kushes, one south of Egypt, which is Ethiopia, which is the part of the birthplace, or the when Egyptians migrate from Uganda, from the mountain of the moon, and so forth, and they passed through Ethiopia and founded Kush. Those Kushites also eventually went to southern India and became what we know today as the Dravidian people. You see that, the Shramanic tradition. So the mantras, Om came from the mantra Ankh. You see, Ankh is not a cross or whatever. It's the hieroglyph for the sun, Ankh, which is the same as Om. You see that? And we say Amen. Amen is nothing but a vocalized version of Om or Om, and so on. So a lot of these mantras are hidden in plain sight. You see that? Are nestled into certain words like Heru, the mantra Herit, Hering, and so on. So once you make the correspondences, you can recreate this knowledge and things of that nature. So one of these days, I'm sure that hiding away in some, person's private museum or library are books that contain some of these mantras and things of that nature. There's a book, one of papyrus, that has been so botched up and ill, translated, what is botched, as a prayer in there that has a lot of mantras. You see, but all the words are bunched together with no separation. So it's going to take a lot of meditation to unravel the skein. But I'll get to that work, as soon as I can. You see that?
Thank you. So this is an interesting question, Shechem. And when you talk about turning off the lights or dimming the room and meditating, between the conditioning that so many of us have received about ghosts and even recently with the whole thing about being woke in the movie where the guy goes to the sunken place, a lot of people just have a negative association with going within. So Kemet here says, what advice can you give so people aren't fearful when the meditations start working, when they're going into the meditation state?
Well, I'm gonna have to speculate as to what the person is afraid of. Like you said, like it's unfortunate that when we speak of meditation, of going within, what comes to mind are images and narratives that Western Hollywood has given to you. We've been fed images of ghouls and vampires and that's nonsensical things and so on. Okay, so I would say to Kenneth, if you have lived a good life, a clean life, and if right now you have no ill will, for other people, then you will know that the safest place that you could ever be is within you. Because when you meditate, especially with these mantras and with these spiritual laws, you're going to make contact with a higher part of your being, the higher part of your spirit. You see that? And if you, in some meditation, you see some grimacing object or whatever, it is just simply, left over from some foolish movie you watched as a youngster, 20 years ago, and things like that. Just ignore it. Okay, the same way that you went to a movie and you saw, Freddy from Friday the 13th, and it's just simply an image out there, can't harm me. Treat whatever negative image comes to you in the same way, and eventually you'll be free of such images. And that's all they are, images. You see that? Nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
You have not, there's a saying, right, that there is, nothing to fear but fear itself. You see that? It is the being afraid that will harm you. You see that? So if you are a fearful person, meaning that a lot of things that scare you, then take this into your meditation with the Mount 11 laws of God course, and and tackle your fears, through the Oser the Oser module as well as the Heru modules in that course.
And Joseph Gray asked, are there, I think he means mudras, that can be used throughout the day of this observance?
Of this observance? Well, we don't teach that. We don't teach mudras to be used as part of this course. Okay, and in the 50 years of Asada said, we've only adopted a few mudras from the yogic tradition, okay, and from the Chinese, the Taoist tradition, okay, for the simple fact that the sources did not go into details as to the sources that empowered these mudras, and I'm not one to give to my students, spiritual resources and tools that have not been fully documented from the sources, because you never know when there might be something negative hidden in a particular movement or mantra, whatever.
Okay, and Tiffany Pittman says, how do you combat or tackle contradictory voices when meditating and in general? For example, I will affirm a statement and a contradictory voices or thought will enter.
Okay, so I'm going to assume that Tiffany is affirming one of the laws that we gave, right?
Mm-hmm.
They say that. And if a word comes in, if a statement comes in contradicting that statement that she put in, right? I would say to her, there's a mantra, there's a meneb, okay, course that we have, okay, where as soon as you have a thought, a negative thought that contradicts the truth, okay, or truthful expression, immediately tighten your lower abdomen and chant the mantra Pahat, P-H-A-T, Pahat, and keep your abdomen tight as you breathe out, putting the abdomen in. You see that? That's the Pahat mantra. It's called the Astra weapon mantra that you can use to neutralize a negative thought, that comes to you. You see that? If you have thoughts, of that kind, there's a back flower remedy, that I forgot which one it is, but you can go on the internet, and you can look up black flower remedies for, negative thoughts. It works for some people. It doesn't work for others, but you might find it helpful as well.
Mm-hmm. So, Shekim, we are at an hour and a half point. Just want to check in with you as far as where we are. I know you have a message you've been delivering this evening. There are a number of more questions.
Well, let's take a few more questions and then we can call it a night. It's a saying, right? Leave no spiritual warrior behind.
All right. We have some great responses and testimonials here as well.
If you have testimonials, share them because it's important for people to know that these things are working.
Mm-hmm. So here we have Jian Majestic Taylor, who says, as quote unquote clean and innocent as we may be to meditation or virgin, I never really meditated for real before. How do we protect ourselves from opening up our spirit or soul to other energies that may come from the spiritual realm? Communications from others that may be trying to enter. I was told by someone to protect my soul.
Okay, first of all, if you are working with our mantras, and in this course, it's a mantra Om Oser Hum. You see that? And then the mantra to purify the Swadhisthana chakra. Okay? And none of these mantras will open you up to negative, influence. You see that? Okay? It's like if you take a supplement, you go to the health food store and you buy a supplement that has, let's say sucralose, which is a artificial sweetener that is not very nice, So you can open yourself up to a negative effect from, that additive in your supplement. You see that? But if your supplement is vitamin C and, B complex and a multivitamin without any colorings and additives and so forth, you're not opening yourself up to negative energies and so on. Now, there are people who will meditate with clean, when I say clean, mantras, like the Om has been used for thousands of years. So it's been Oser Hum for thousands of years with no history of a negative effect. We have been using it in Australia for 50 years with not a single negative effect. But some people may have been convinced that that they could always be vulnerable to some negative effect no matter what they do. And my suggestion to such people is, maybe they want to meditate with somebody who has experience with these mantras to help their confidence, because somebody come in already convinced that something negative will or could happen and things of that nature. You see that? So you have to watch. It says your communications from others that may be trying to enter. I was told by someone to protect my soul. Now, who's the someone? Illustrious spiritual teacher, an accomplished spiritual teacher, and things of that nature. There are a lot of people out there giving bad advice and things of that nature. So if you're convinced that you might have a negative experience from meditating, then maybe you should not meditate. But all I can say to you is that in the 50 years that we've been teaching this, in many countries around the world, there has never been this type of problem that you are speaking about, and so on. You see?
Okay, and Ma'at Mdenu Eb Omi Jeolukore says, it's been so much easier for my person to focus on a goal in my day and accomplish it. I've been early for work, full of joy and energy, really connecting with my coworkers and guests. Even met 2 new people who are following the Osirian teachings and are also in this course. I have found that my intuition has been very clear to the point of hearing in my mind info about people I'm talking with and have them confirm as we continue talking. And my sleep is amazing.
Okay, there's a testimonial that was not solicited. You see that? And these are the kind of things that you can expect. You can all expect from these meditations.
And let's see. We have Sakenu, who says something happened to me years ago, but I did not know or realize the changes until now in this winter solstice. This happened because of an experience of PTSD trauma I was experiencing. Thank you for this teaching.
Okay, the person did not say specifically, so that I respect that person's privacy. But it's wonderful to see people already getting results. And this is why our teachings, our society has survived 50 years and been and expanded to over 30 something cities around the world. You see that? And many of our members have been with us for 50 years, 40 years, 35 years, and so on, because they get results, good results.
And this is another course member saying, when practicing the meditation breathing, I find I have to constrict my stomach muscles to get the air low enough inside my body. Is this an all right approach?
Okay, listen to the words. I find I have to constrict. The person is tightening up their stomach instead of expanding it. So the person is using, just the opposite, doing the opposite of what was taught. And the in-breath, to get breath in, you have to gently expand your lower abdomen, meaning you have to make room for the air to fill up the lungs. If you're constricting your stomach, okay, you are cutting off room for your lungs to expand. You see that? So if you want to take in the proper amount of air, relax and gently expand the lower abdomen. And then, gently pull it in to get rid of the air on the out breath. So the person doing the opposite of what was instructed. Mm-hmm. So please correct that. And if you can't correct it on your own, get somebody to help you. Do not continue to breathe incorrectly, no matter what you're doing.
And that's detailed in track number 10. Make sure you study the accompanying document and reach out to us in the comment section. Nicole Cooper says, this course has allowed me to understand everything happens for my highest good. Before the course, I couldn't quite understand how everything is for my good. Now I understand that the omnipresence of God dictates that God is in everything and everyone. So it's easy to understand the oneness of it all.
I'm sure lots of people are benefiting from that testimonial. And the fact that the answers and the results are coming so quickly. Because this course was, when did we release the course? Was it last week?
Yeah, about 2 weeks now.
2 weeks now, and people are already getting results.
Mm-hmm.
You see that. And they haven't gone through the full course yet.
And we have Joanne who said, I started your course with the 11 laws of Ma'at and have already witnessed the amazing effects within my life pertaining to my family and my business. Also the healing that has taken place with the true forgiveness of others and forgiving myself and being more aware of my thoughts towards them has truly made a turnaround. And it did, and I did it very quickly. I always see God, and I absolutely love my meditation and my mantras and following my meditation script. They work. I have several testimonies.
Get my thanks to Jonah Brewer. It's wonderful.
And Chiquita Niamke says, as we move through the meditation process, how do we come to learn the voice of God? I've had difficulty with trusting in myself and at times over rely on others' knowledge and experience.
Well, how do we come to learn the voice of God? There are certain truths, laws that have been put into the course. Okay, where you have, statements of how you should conduct yourself. You see that? And the intuition that which you call the voice of God that you will get, okay, will be in sync with the truths that have been taught to you. So you will know that something is the voice of God because it syncs with the truth that you are learning. You see that? If it goes contrary to what you have been taught, then you know that's not the voice of God. You see that? And it's not some evil spirit within you. It's just, let me explain to you something, right? What we call the psyche and the mind has an associative reflex, function, where certain thoughts cause, thoughts that are similar or opposite to be reflexed into the mind. So that's what's going on. You say that, okay? You have a thought that is saying, thank you for endowing me with the ability to learn directly from you. And, and if you have cultivated in the past, the belief that, well, nobody can communicate with God, you're going to have that reverse replay in your mind, that contradictory statement coming into your mind. So one of the keys of making progress spiritually is any thought that comes to you that's not in harmony with the truth. You see that? Ignore it. Just ignore it. Don't give it anything. Don't try to contradict it. Don't try to push it away. Just ignore it. Because when you try to push a negative thought away, you're giving it energy. You see that? Just ignore the thought, and eventually you deprive it of energy, and it will cease to come to your person. Plain and simple.
And Inez Boykin says, if God is in everything, do we not kill insects, roaches?
Well, there has to be a proportionality there. In other words, if in your house, you don't want your house to be run over by roaches, right? I mean, you're in your home, you don't want 100, 1,000, 10,000 roaches, running around your houses, even with the lights on. You see them running up your walls all over the floor. You stand in your room and they carry you to the next room. You don't want that, okay? So you got to control that situation. You see that, okay? In nature, you go out to nature. You go out in your garden. You go out to the park. Don't kill the roaches in the park. That's where they live. You see that, okay? Don't kill the rats that are out in nature. But you don't want them running in your house. So you have to, bring proportionality to what you do.
Mm-hmm. So I've posted the Sales at Comedic Legacy for any questions that you have about access. And I'll go over a little bit of that as we close. Let's see here. And one last testimonial. So we have David Diamond. He says, I've practiced other forms of meditation, and they often felt like work or devoid of meaning, just waiting for some nebulous result to appear. While I have only been utilizing the meditation scripts for a very short time, I feel like my heart is blooming by reconnecting with God, and I look forward to my meditations. Many thanks and many blessings.
Yeah, and I give thanks to David for the feedback. and keep on working. And I know I'm going to hear great things from David and all the people who have shared the testimonials with us today. And those testimonials, keep them coming, because there are lots of people that you are giving confidence. You see that? Because, it's for them to embrace these teachings, it has to go beyond me and my priests and priestesses, speaking to you about these things and how they can help you. But when your, students like yourself begin to show that they're getting good responses and very quickly and looking forward to greater things, you see that, then that is where, the real message, is to be found. And you hear David and these people speaking about the blessings that they're really receiving. A month, a year, or 10 years from now, you're going to hear greater and greater stories, not only from them, but from you as well. Peace and blessings to all of you. Thank you so much for sharing this evening with me.
Thank you, Shechem. We appreciate you so much taking another 2 hours with us tonight. We have over 600 people in our webinar room, and we are broadcasting on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. So the course is growing. And if everyone hangs on for a moment, I'll give you some instructions on how to get involved if you're not, and also answer the question that a person had about access. So let us say Un Nefer, that means power, peace, and blessings to Un Nefer Amen, Shechem or Shechem. Un Nefer.
Ragadebu. Thank you so much.
All right. So I want to remind everybody here that on Saturday, this Saturday, that is the 30th of January, we will have our third course member only group meditation. And this is going to be meditation number 3 there's 4 meditations that you practice in this Oser Ra 90-day spiritual observance. So we've had a sampling of meditation 1 and meditation 2. And on Saturday, you're going to get a chance to experience meditation 3. You have to be a course member to be invited. And we only have 1,000 spots right now. Most people, we won't have everybody show up, so you should be okay. But I would definitely sign up and make sure you register early if you want to get into that meeting. So now the 90-day spiritual observation, begins with your 24-day streak that you're going to work these 4 meditations. And you can start that at any time. You have time to get it going. It's not, what I'm saying is, just because we're doing meditation number 3 on Saturday doesn't mean that if you're just getting started, that it's too late. These meditations are just to give you a taste of exactly how to do the meditations, and then you will continue on your own as we go along. So let me give those of you that are not in the course just a quick view. We're on the Soundwise platform, so it's a mobile focused app. It's called My Soundwise, and there is another Soundwise out there, so be careful. You don't get confused when you try to sign up. My Soundwise, it's a free app. It has an orange logo. You'll see that on the website. But this is what it looks like on the inside. So you have these tracks with a play button. So you have audio information. You also have attachments, right? And all this functionality within the track. So you can view graphics, you can view text and read along, and you can, vary the experience. So here's some of the graphics that are in the course that will open up on your phone. You can also access it through your computer so that you can print some of this material out to work with. There's a notification section where we can notify you of all the upcoming group member webinars, classes, and meditations. And your meditation tracks with the mantras the musical tones that go along with the mantras, and the instruction that paces your breathing to the chanting of the mantras is all in the course for you to utilize on a regular basis. This is part of the instruction, general instruction on how to get into the meditation state, which begins with the alpha brainwave state through the process of breathing and stimulating the vagus nerve. You get instruction on that. And you also get your assignments on how to fill out your meditation script and execute that in the course in two forms: a mobile-friendly form where you can read it easily on your phone. And then if you scroll down, you can actually print that out from a computer and have something to work with. All right, so the way to get to the course, let's get this out the way, is right here. Just go to tinyurl/Kamet Winter Solstice 2023. It's $35 for a 90-day program. That's it, $35. And if you have any issues connecting, then you just send an email to sales@kemeticlegacy.com, sales@kemeticlegacy.com, and we will get you straightened out. All right, I want to thank everybody for being with us tonight, and will you a wonderful rest of your week, a prosperous new year full of spiritual growth and the achievement of all of your goals and your ability to help others and make a contribution in this world. Peace and blessings.
Divine being, says the Kemetic religion, but the early part of man's life is dominated by the human faculties and limitations. The essential focus of the ancient Egyptian religion is then the transcendence of the human stage and the realization of the true and final state, the divine nature. Divinity is realized by adherence to divine laws, and it confers upon man access to divine or superhuman abilities, the elevation of her mental abilities and talents, and qualifies her to enter into a partnership with God. Meduna Ter, Volume 6, by Ra, Un Nefer Amen.
I'm getting closer each and every day.
This was the manner in which Kemet was able to bring forth the men and women from all walks of life who were responsible for its superlative civilization. Unparalleled